If you're seeing this, it means I've actually gone through with making this video. It is currently December 7th, 2025, and 24 hours ago, I uploaded my video about the most unique cutie mark talent in MLP. I just closed the forum where people could submit their predictions on what their favorite episodes is, and I'm about to post the first out of 85 polls to vote on your favorite episode in the show. So, let's just get started, and hopefully I'll see you guys in 6 months. And now, 11 videos, 85 polls, 113,446 votes, and 1,450 comments later, here we are. This is by far the most planning that has gone into a single video I've ever made. 4.5 months of near constant polls, like, wow. But, since we have a lot of information to go through, let's just get started at the very beginning, with all of the episodes in round 1. Hey yeah, I'm going crazy with the transitions, I know. Round 1 contains the majority of the polls, 64 out of 85 in total, and honestly, most of them weren't very interesting. Like, take this poll for example. I assume no pony is surprised at the fact that the Cutie Mark Chronicles won here. But, before we actually get into all of the polls themselves, here are some interesting facts to satisfy the number nerds first. In all of round 1, the most popular episode wasn't actually an episode, it was the G5 movie, getting a total of 91% of the total votes. On the contrary, the least voted episode, and the only one to actually get a total of 0% of the votes, is the Season 7 episode Not Asking for Trouble. Now, I don't know exactly how YouTube calculates percentages, so maybe 0% is just anything under 0.5% of the total votes? Or maybe, which I personally find a lot funnier to believe, is that there was just not a single pony out there who voted for this episode. And in addition to having the lowest voted episode, this poll was also the one with the most comments underneath it. Mostly from people fighting and talking about how unfair it is that 2 of their favorite episodes got paired up against each other in round 1 already. Which is honestly understandable. Both A Perfect Pair and A Royal Problem are probably in my top 5 episodes in the entire show as well. However, funnily enough, this episode was not the one that got the most votes. That honor goes to Day 18. And honestly, I don't really know why this one got so many votes. It was posted on December 24th, so maybe every pony just happened to be home for heartswarming and had time to vote. Or perhaps because the results were so close, people felt like their vote would actually change the result in their favor? I'm not sure. Regardless, well done to Daring Don't for beating the Power Ponies. And now, let's actually move on to covering all the polls. The very first day isn't anything too special. Friendship is Magic Part 2 won with a majority vote. And as we'll see throughout this round, the second part of a season opening or finale winning is going to be a common occurrence. Day 2 then immediately had a very close call. Throughout the first couple of days, Ghostbusters and Look Before You Sleep were both in the lead multiple times, always only a couple percent apart. However, in the end, it seems like I have slightly more Trixie fans than Rara-Jack shippers. Day 3 got absolutely cleared by Winter Wrap-Up, though Bridal Gossip put up a fair fight. Day 4 was easily won by all the Rainbow Dash fans, and Day 5 by the Fluttershy ones. Day 6 had the second highest winning percentage, with 86% of the votes going towards the Cutie Mark Chronicles, which, looking at these other episodes, is entirely valid. For Day 7, remember how just now I said that we'd see a pattern of the second episode of a 2-parter winning? Well, as per usual, Discord is the exception. This poll was very stacked as far as episodes go. People love Party of One, for some reason. Same with the Gala episode, yet it seems like it's not even close compared to Discord's first introduction as far as popularity goes. The next couple of days aren't all that interesting. The obviously most popular episode just won. Luna eclipsed, May the Best Pet win, and Heartswarming Eve. Then on day 11, for the first time in these polls, I was genuinely surprised with the results. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that Read It and Weep won. It is also one of my personal favorite episodes, but I really thought that A Friend Indeed was gonna take this one. Instead, it only got like 14% of the total votes, and the Super Speedy Side of Squeezy episode did a lot better than I expected. We then go to another couple of days of pretty obvious winners, which also includes the entirety of Season 3. And while there was no doubt in my mind that Magical Mystery Cure was going to win the Day 17 poll, I was honestly expecting the Season 4 opening to get a lot more votes. Instead, both episodes ended at only 9%, and the Equestria Girls movie actually did way better than I expected with a total of 16% of the votes. The next poll, Day 18, was already mentioned at the beginning, but it's also interesting to say that this poll was the closest one in terms of percentages, with only a 2% difference between Daring Don't and the Power Ponies. We then get another series of popular episodes winning against just regular episodes. Day 19 went to Bats. On day 20, Pinkie Pride unfortunately won from Philly Vanilli. Day 21, Maud Pie. Day 22, Testing Testing 1 2 3, even though Sweetie Belle put up a good fight. And day 23 was obliterated by the fight between Twilight and Tyrek. The very next day, though, came with a pretty big surprise. I thought that Starlight's introduction would absolutely clean the floor with the other episodes, but Rainbow Rocks got a very, very impressive 40% of the votes. Unfortunately for all the EQG fans, it was just barely not enough to take the win. On day 25, Tanks for the Memories then took the win, day 26 went to Slice of Life, obviously, and on day 27, Rarity Investigates was defeated by Princess Big Mac. Which, honestly, yeah, that's understandable, but still unfortunate. The next poll went to Crusaders of the Lost Mark, followed by Scaremaster, The Cutie Remark, The Gift of Maud Pie, A Heartwarming Tale, and Spice Up Your Life. Then, on day 34, over halfway through all of round 1, for the very first time, a Spike episode won the poll with The Times They Are a Changeling. And then, the very next day, Dungeons and Discords won, which is like a half Spike, half Discord episode. It's close enough. Then, on day 36, Top Bolt easily won. Day 37 was claimed by Thorax and the Changeling's Redemption. Then, All Bottled Up was the first episode in Season 7 to win, Parental Guidance unfortunately won Day 39, and Day 40 was the big standoff between The Perfect Pair and A Royal Problem. After that, the winners were To Change a Changeling, A Health of Information, which was closely followed by It Isn't the Main Thing About You, and then Shadowplay being the only other first episode of a two-parter besides Discord. On day 44, Shadowplay almost became the only season finale to win a poll with both episodes, but ultimately the movie ended up winning. And honestly, I was really expecting the movie to get a lot more votes here compared to Stygian's Redemption. Day 45 was then for all the Goth Fluttershy lovers, followed by the Parent Map and the Mean Six. Day 48 was then won by the Heartswarming Club. And I honestly had no idea these heartswarming episodes were so popular. Like, they're fun holiday episodes, no argument there. But I honestly wasn't expecting 3 out of 4 of them to win their respective polls this round, Hearthbreakers in Season 5 being the only one that lost. Day 49 was then won by The Road to Friendship, and The Sounds of Silence on Day 50 to wrap up Season 8. And then most of Season 9 was very expected, honestly. The winners were The Beginning of the End Part 2, Sparkle 7, Bisexuality, oh, wait, sorry, wrong poll, I meant Frenemies, then Between Dark and Dawn, She Talks to Angel, and then, to wrap up all of G4, The Ending of the End Part 2. And this last one honestly surprised me. I know the whole Avengers Assemble kind of fight scene was really cool and a very fitting way to defeat the final villains. But really, not the last problem? I genuinely think every single pony I've discussed the last problem with, they said they cried during the final song. I was really expecting this one to win. Regardless, we then move on to G5, where after the very first poll, where the movie completely destroyed the others like I mentioned at the beginning, you could instantly see the voting numbers drop. Where most of the G4 polls got anywhere between 1.2 to 1.5k votes, the G5 ones had like 5 to 600 at most. Regardless, Day 59, to no pony surprise I reckon, was won by Portrait of a Princess. Day 60 was then won by... Wait! Have you seen this dragon won this poll? Not Bridal Woodstock. How? Just how? Bridal Woodstock is such a banger episode. Maybe even my favorite Make Your Mark episode out there. How did a Sparky episode get so many votes? Did I make the thumbnail image of Sparky here too cute or something? Whatever, I'm just gonna move on, but not so silently disagree. Next up, we have Day 61, which is the second most cursed freeze frame I happened to find when going through all of these episodes. Izzy, I'm sorry for doing you so dirty this episode, but it made me laugh so much when I first found it. And you might ask, but Lumin, if this is the second most cursed image you got, what was the number 1? Well, good that you asked, because it's actually in the very next poll. I happened to pause Chapter 4, Episode 6, A Little Horse, right in the middle of a Pip sneeze. And since I was kind of expecting Missing the Mark to win anyways, I just left it in for the memes. If you're part of that 6% who voted for that episode, and not just because the image looked funny, I'm sorry. Then for the final 2 polls of this round, it was honestly nothing too special. Family Trees Part 2 won Day 63, and the final day was then completely owned by Secrets of Starlight, which is honestly valid as Allura is a far better villain than Opaline could have ever been. And shout out to this one person who very clearly hadn't seen G5 and then left a comment genuinely asking if Starlight was in there because of the name of the episode. And with that, we went from our original 256 episodes to only 64 as we now move on to round number 2. Now, round 2 is going to be a lot more interesting. There's only 16 days, and each of the episodes in here has already won a poll in round 1, meaning only the more popular episodes remain. And with that, I do also want to mention the Equestria Girls movies really quick. I know some of them, especially the first two, are fan favorites, but because they all released in between seasons, the 4 of them all got really unfortunate matchups against season openings or finales, where ultimately none of them made it through to round 2. The first poll featured Friendship is Magic Part 2, Ghostbusters, Winter Wrap-Up, and Sonic Rainbow. And I wish I could say it was close. Right as the poll went live, I was surprised to see Sonic Rainbow get upwards of 30% of the total votes, but ultimately it turned out that Friendship is Magic Part 2 was way more popular. The same goes for Day 2, where Discord once again claims the victory, even though the Cutie Mark Chronicles and Luna Eclipse put up a very good fight. During Day 3, the Heartswarming episodes once again proved their popularity against what I thought were 3 really popular episodes. I am legit impressed with how far they're going in these eliminations. Then on Day 4, I was curious to see which Shining Armor and Cadence episode you were all gonna vote for, and I honestly thought it would have at least been somewhat close, but turns out Sombra didn't even stand a chance against the wedding episode, which, in hindsight, I should have probably expected. Day 5 Day 5 was not even close. As much as I love Daring Don't, Bats, and Pinky Pride, there was no doubt in my mind that Magical Mystery Cure was going to come out victorious. The exact same goes for Day 6, where Twilight's Kingdom took the win, and honestly, I was expecting Starlight's intro to score higher, even though I know the Season 4 ending is considered to be the best one by a lot of ponies out there. Then, for Day 7, oh boy, Day 7. I wasn't expecting to mention this so early, but before all of these polls started, for a couple of days, I ran a forum where all of you could submit your guesses as to who was going to win and what your personal favorite episode is. We'll discuss that more towards the end of the video, but it's important to know that in the category of who was going to win, Slice of Life was in 3rd place, directly followed by Crusaders of the Lost Mark, and beaten by Do Princess's Dream of Magic Sheep, who was in 2nd place. For the guesses of what episode you all thought was going to win, Slice of Life was actually in 2nd place, and the other two barely made the top 10. So just looking at the data, by all means I was expecting either Slice of Life or Do Princess's Dream of Magic Sheep to win this day. But then Crusaders of the Lost Mark just came out of nowhere and completely destroyed both of them. Like, don't get me wrong, I was definitely expecting all 3 of them to put up a good fight, but that Crusaders of the Lost Mark would win with almost as many votes as the other two combined? Definitely not. Day 8 then marks the first big defeat for the Heartswarming episodes, as the Cutie Remark beats A Heartswarming Tale with almost 60% of the total votes. And Day 9 was won by The Times They Are a Changeling, meaning the only Spike episode that got through to round 2 also gets a spot in the semis. I guess you all like Thorax a lot more than you dislike Spike. Day 10, to no pony surprise, was won by The Perfect Pair, and even though the competition had some pretty popular episodes, A Royal Problem in round 1 has been the most formidable foe so far. But then on Day 11, I honestly really thought the movie was going to win. But apparently the Storm King and Tempest are not nearly as popular as I thought, because nearly half of you voted for Pharynx instead. And even though I personally love the movie, I guess with the types of videos I make, I shouldn't be so surprised that the one stallion character of this day would end up claiming the win. And then going from one emo character to another, Fake It Till You Make It was the winner of Day 12. Which, yeah, that's not very surprising knowing this fandom. And while I've been kind of shitting on the Heartswarming episode so far, I was personally really hoping that this one, the Heartswarming Club, would have gone further. I really loved the lore this episode gave us about all of the Young Six, and how it went a little more in-depth into each of their characters. But alas, Goth Fluttershy was more popular. Also, this day was the closest poll percentage-wise of all of round 2. And then the last 4 days were honestly pretty surprising to me. For Day 13, I know every pony loves the Kirin, but they went up against 3 very popular episodes this poll. The Road to Friendship, The Beginning of the End, and Sparkle 7. Yet, the Kirin still came out on top with over 60% of the total votes. Then on Day 14, I was really expecting Between Dark and Dawn to win, but Frenemies ended up getting almost 50% of the total votes. Not that I'm complaining, because it is a really good episode. Day 15 then had both the highest voted episode and the lowest voted one. The Ending of the End Part 2 got a grand total of 90% of the votes, while Have You Seen This Dragon only got 1. And I don't think it's a big surprise that The Ending of the End was going to win this one. But I was really hoping that the G5 movie would have performed better. Like, 7%? Really? I know a lot of people prefer everything G4 over anything G5, but flame me all you want, but the G5 movie is honestly better than most G4 episodes are. And then, for the final day, Family Trees Part 2 became the last semi-finalist of these polls. And honestly, I know that at some point I said I wasn't gonna do a video ranking or reorganizing every single episode, but with how bad these takes have been, I honestly might just have to. In my opinion, both Missing the Mark and Secrets of Starlight are better episodes than Family Trees. Let me know if you'd be interested in a 2-hour-long video of me spewing hot takes about what episodes I love and hate. And with that, we've come to the end of round 2. From the 64 episodes we had left, only 16 remain. So let's see how they do in our semi-finals. So, this is the part of the eliminations where I'm starting to be glad that I don't have to vote for these, cause by Celestia, these polls are getting difficult. Just take the first day for example. This entire poll is filled with absolute top tier episodes, and while I'm not surprised that the wedding episode ended up winning, it's still impressive to see how seemingly easy the victory was. They got nearly 60% of the votes after all. Though, I think my personal vote in this scenario would have gone to the Return of Harmony, because Discord's introduction is one of the best in the series in my opinion. Day 2 then came with arguably the biggest surprise in the entire semi-finals. Ever since the poll started, I was expecting either Magical Mystery Cure or Slice of Life to become the finalist of this quadrant. And since, Slice of Life lost to Crusaders of the Lost Mark last round, I was really counting on either Crusaders or Magical Mystery Cure to take it. But no, Twilight's Kingdom Part 2 got more votes than both of those together. And really? It's a fantastic season finale, don't get me wrong. But on the level of Magical Mystery Cure and Crusaders of the Lost Mark? I personally wouldn't say so, but I guess I'll save that for the video of my own opinions if I ever end up making that one. For now though, let's move on to day 3, which isn't very surprising to be honest. The Perfect Pair once again completely destroyed the competition. Though it is interesting to see that where the first 2 days basically only had season openings and finales, this one doesn't have any. Then again, I guess the Season 6 finale with the Changelings reform isn't that special, same with the whole Pony of Shadows arc at the end of Season 7. And then, for our last semi-final, Family Trees Part 2 faced off against the ending of the end, Frenemies, and the one, the only, Sounds of Silence, who won this day and became our last finalist. And honestly, I was really excited for this day. I already kind of knew that Frenemies and Family Trees wouldn't stand much of a chance, but it was interesting to see if Sounds of Silence or the ending of the end would end up winning. And since that ended up being the Sounds of Silence, I wanted to quickly bring attention to this comment, where @LightJones9894 says, "At the end of the day, we all know what's going to be number 1, and I bet you all $10 it's going to be the ending of the end part 2. So I guess you owe all of us $10 now? Oh, wait, sorry, there's another comment. I meant $30. Wait, no, even 50. I guess I'll leave my PayPal in the description for you. And with that, we move on from the just 16 episodes we had left to our final... Wait, guys, really? We're doing the exact same transition again? What, did editing me just get lazy? We've done this thing 3 times already. We get the idea. Here, let me just help you out. A Canterlot Wedding Part 2, Twilight's Kingdom Part 2, A Perfect Pair, Sounds of Silence, the finale. So, out of the 256 episodes we started with, these are the final 4 left. The favorites among the entire fandom. And if you are following along with the polls every day, you'll know absolutely nothing about who won. After all, past me had the devious idea to host the very final poll through a Google form and not on YouTube itself, so no pony besides me would be able to see the results. But now, after sitting on the results for nearly 3 weeks, without stalling even longer, let me tell you about today's sponsor. But now, after stalling for just a little bit longer, in last place, or, well, in 4th place out of 256, with a total of 13% of the total votes is The Perfect Pair. Followed after that, with 23% of the votes, is A Canterlot Wedding Part 2. And then, in 2nd place, with 26% of the votes, is Twilight's Kingdom Part 2, meaning the Sounds of Silence wins this entire thing. Wait. Sorry, I'm just being informed that I actually got 2 of the episodes mixed up. Sounds of Silence was actually the 4th place with only 13% of the votes, while The Perfect Pair won with 38%. Whoops, but congratulations for real this time to The Perfect Pair! Woo! Oh, no, it'll be fine. I'm sure no pony will be upset by that switch at all. So yeah, The Perfect Pair won, no gimmicks or anything funny. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, before all of these polls started, I hosted another forum to ask every pony what episode they thought was going to win the entire thing. We already know that Slice of Life was in 2nd place, with Magical Mystery Cure in 3rd, but what I didn't mention before is that Magical Mystery Cure was actually perfectly tied with Twilight's Kingdom and the wedding episode. So, I can't say it's entirely surprising that these three ended up in the finale together, but as you're all probably expecting, the perfect pair is comfortably sitting in first place in that poll too. So congrats to all of these people you see here for guessing the winning episode correctly. I was originally planning to name out every single one of you, but it turns out so many people predicted the perfect pair was gonna win that would have taken much longer than would have been interesting to watch. There were also some pretty funny, or well, ambitious guesses. Like there being someone who thought that the Maud couple was gonna win, or the Secrets of Starlight special from G5. But the funniest out of these for me has got to be the person who said Brotherhood Social. And just to explain why that's so funny to me, this is the round 1 poll it had to win. And even if it would have miraculously beaten the Crusaders of the Lost Mark and Made in Manhattan, in round 2 it would have been up against Slice of Life and Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep. I appreciate this person's optimism for believing that Brotherhood Social could actually win, but yeah, no, sorry my guy. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed, as this has been by far my biggest project up until now. And I hope you all continue watching these silly little videos.